Hold on to your seats, folks, because the world of reality TV just got rocked harder than a Category 5 hurricane. Revolving light. Imagine this. The queen of drama herself, Mona Scott-Young, the mastermind behind Love and Hip Hop, locked in a screaming match with none other than Kirk Frost, the infamous Atlanta bad boy who's no stranger to scandal. And get this, it all exploded on set, bringing production to a screeching halt. We're talking chairs flying, tears streaming, and accusations that could shatter empires. Is this the end of an era? No more episodes? The franchise that gave us epic feuds, steamy romances, and jaw-dropping betrayals might be crumbling before our eyes. Picture the scene. Cameras rolling on what was supposed to be another explosive season of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Kirk, with his signature swagger and that infamous history of infidelity drama with Rashida, storms into Mona's trailer like a man on a mission. Words fly like daggers, "You've been playing me for years." He allegedly bellows, veins popping, while Mona, cool as ice at first, unleashes a torrent of fury. "You think you run this show? I built this empire, and I can tear it down." Emotions ran high, insiders whisper, as the two titans clashed over everything from contract disputes to personal vendettas that have been simmering for seasons. Fans are shocked, absolutely reeling. Social media is exploding with hashtags like hashtag Mona vs Kirk and hashtag LHH done for good. Could this be the fight that finally kills the golden goose? But wait, it gets juicier. Whispers from the set claim this wasn't just a random blow-up. Oh no, there's betrayal brewing deeper than Kirk's past affairs. Rumors of leaked secrets, hidden alliances, and a family rift that's tearing the Frost clan apart. Rashida's caught in the crossfire, torn between loyalty to her husband and the show that's made her a star. And what about the other cast members? Jocelyn Hernandez is reportedly laughing from the sidelines, while Scrappy and Bambi are picking sides in what could become an all-out war. If this shutdown sticks, we're looking at millions in lost revenue, heartbroken viewers, and a void in our guilty pleasure viewing schedules. Stay tuned, because this drama is just heating up. Who knows what explosive revelations are coming next? You won't believe the twists we've uncovered. The set was still buzzing with tension even after the cameras cut and the lights dimmed, but nobody dared leave just yet. Mona stood in the middle of the chaos, arms crossed, staring down Kirk like he was just another cast member who stepped out of line. But Kirk wasn't backing down, not this time. He paced back and forth, breathing heavy, pointing fingers. "You think you can just silence me, Mona? After all the years I gave you my real life, my real pain?" Mona tilted her head slightly, a small smirk creeping up. "Your real life, Kirk? Please, half of it was scripted by the writers, the other half you brought on yourself with your choices." That hit a nerve. Kirk stopped pacing, stepped closer, voice dropping low. "My choices? Like staying loyal to this show while you pocketed the big checks and left us fighting for scraps?" Rashida, who had been quietly wiping tears, now stepped between them. "Stop it, both of you. This isn't helping anybody." But her voice cracked, showing how deep the hurt ran. She looked at Mona, pleading. "Mona, we've been family, you've seen my kids grow up on this show, don't let it end like this." Mona softened for a second, almost human. "Rashida, I never wanted it to come to this, but your husband crossed a line today. Threats won't be tolerated." Kirk laughed bitterly. "Threats? Baby, this is promise. If you bury this season, I'll make sure the world knows exactly how this sausage gets made." Word of the shutdown spread like wildfire through the cast group chat. Young Jock texted first, "Yo, is this real? They really halted production?" Bambi replied instantly, "Yep." Kirk went full nuclear. Mona called it quits for now. Scrappy chimed in, "This crazy, we got bills, fam." But underneath the panic there was excitement. Some saw opportunity in the mess. Erica Mena, who had her own rocky history with Mona, posted a subtle Instagram story, a black screen with white text. "Sometimes the truth needs to come out, karma always collects." Fans screenshotted it immediately, speculating she knew something juicy. Back at the soundstage, producers huddled in a corner, whispering furiously. One veteran exec pulled Mona aside. "We can spin this as creative differences, give it a week cool-off period, maybe bring in mediators." Mona shook her head. "No. If we let him think he won, it'll never end. We pause and definitely assess the damage, control the narrative." She glanced over at Kirk, who was now talking animatedly to a small group of crew members, some nodding, others looking uncomfortable. He was planting seeds already, and Mona knew it. That evening the internet exploded. TMZ dropped the first article. Love and Hip Hop Atlanta production halted after explosive Kirk Frost Mona Scott-Young showdown. Sources say fight over creative control and pay. Within minutes, Twitter, formerly X, was flooded. Fans posted old clips of Kirk's iconic moments, the Tommy gun incident, the Rashida cheating scandal, reruns, everything. One viral thread read, "Kirk carried this show for years. Mona used his drama, then tried to sideline him. SMH, free Kirk." Another countered, "Mona built the whole franchise from scratch. Kirk just another talent who thinks he's bigger than the brand, delusional." The war was on, and it divided households. At home, Kirk and Rashida barely spoke. She sat on the couch scrolling through comments, tears fresh. "They calling me weak for not leaving you back then, saying I stayed for the fame." Kirk sat beside her, heavy sigh. "I never meant to drag you into this, Rashida, but I couldn't keep quiet anymore. She treats us like props." Rashida looked at him, eyes searching. "But what if you're wrong? What if this ends everything we built? Kirk took her hand, then we build something new, something real without her strings. For the first time in hours there was a flicker of hope, but it was fragile. Meanwhile Mona retreated to her mansion, pouring a glass of wine, staring out at the city lights. Her phone buzzed nonstop, executives, PR team, even VH1 higher-ups demanding updates. She ignored most of them, instead calling her closest confidant. He thinks he has dirt, but I've got vaults full. If he wants war, he'll get it. The confidant warned, be careful Mona, the fans love him more than you think. Mona laughed softly, they love the drama I give them. And I'll give them more if needed. The next morning brought the first real twist. An anonymous source leaked audio to a gossip blog. Grainy but clear enough, Kirk's voice mid-rant, she's got favorites, always has. Jocelyn got special treatment even after she left Scrappy too, but me? Always the villain. The clip spread instantly, fans dissecting every word. Jocelyn jumped on live, y'all hear that? Even Kirk knows Mona plays favorites, lol, I've been saying this. Her comments section went wild, old fans resurfacing defending her comeback dreams. Mona's team quickly issued a statement, out of context audio does not reflect the full story. Love and hip-hop remains committed to authentic storytelling. But the damage was done, doubt crept in. Cast members started choosing sides publicly. Carly Red posted, praying for peace, but Kirk deserves respect too. Azalea Banks, unrelated but always chaotic, quote, retweeted, Mona Scott the real puppet master exposed finally. Even past stars like Stevie J weighed in, Kirk my brother, speak your truth. The support for Kirk grew louder, surprising even him. Rashida watched from the sidelines, torn, her loyalty to her husband clashing with years of friendship with Mona. As days turned into a week with no filming, the financial pressure mounted. Crew laid off, temporarily cast without guaranteed paychecks. Kirk posted a cryptic video on his story sitting in his car, sometimes you gotta risk it all to gain your freedom. Stay tuned. Views skyrocketed, comments poured in, drop the T-King. Protect Kirk at all costs. Mona countered with her own subtle power move, announcing a new spin-off in development, no details but the timing screamed distraction tactic. Behind closed doors negotiations began. Mona's lawyers reached out to Kirk's offering a sit-down. He agreed, but on his terms, neutral ground, no cameras, no producers, just us. The meeting was set for a private room at a midtown restaurant. Rashida begged to come, but Kirk said no, this one's between me and her. When the day arrived, tension was thick. Mona arrived first, composed as ever. Kirk walked in alone, eyes locked. They sat. Mona spoke first. Kirk, what do you really want? He leaned forward, respect Mona. Real input, creative say, and fair pay for the chaos I bring. Mona nodded slowly, and if I say no? Kirk smiled coldly, then I start talking. Not rumors, facts, dates, names. Mona studied him, you're willing to burn it all? Kirk didn't blink, I already did the moment I opened my mouth on set. The conversation stretched hours, accusations flew, counteroffers made. Mona admitted some favoritism existed, it's business Kirk, not personal, some bring more drama, some less. Kirk pushed, then level the field. By the end a tentative agreement formed, more transparency, better contracts, but nothing signed yet. Both left wary, truce fragile as glass. But just when it seemed calm might return, another bomb dropped. A former assistant went public on a podcast claiming Mona had a secret slush fund for hush payments to keep cast scandals quiet, including one involving Kirk years ago. The story hit blogs hard, fans demanded answers. Mona denied it vehemently, completely fabricated. But Kirk seized the moment, posting, truth coming soon. The franchise hung by a thread, every move watched, every word dissected. Families divided, fans obsessed, industry buzzing. Was this the death of love and hip-hop or the rebirth? No one knew, but one thing was crystal clear, the fight was far from over and the next revelation could change everything forever. And now, as the dust begins to settle and the cameras remain off, the question hanging in the air feels heavier than ever. Was this just another explosive reality TV moment, or did we just witness the unraveling of something much bigger? For years, viewers have watched alliances shift, friendships fracture, and relationships tested under the harsh glare of production lights, but this time felt different. This wasn't just cast drama. This wasn't a storyline crafted for ratings. This was raw, unscripted tension between a powerhouse producer and one of the franchise's most controversial figures. When the confrontation between Mona Scott and Kirk Frost escalated beyond heated words into a full-scale shutdown of filming, insiders say the energy on set shifted instantly. Crew members reportedly froze, cast members went silent, production assistants scrambled, and just like that, everything stopped. No wrap-up interviews, no dramatic walk-offs captured for teaser trailers. Just silence. What makes this situation even more unsettling is the timing. The season was already riding on fragile dynamics, trust issues, resurfaced accusations, and unresolved story arcs that had fans deeply divided. The network had reportedly invested heavily in promotion, betting that this chapter would revive ratings and spark viral moments. Instead, what unfolded may have triggered something executives never anticipated, a breakdown in control. When a show built on managing chaos suddenly can't manage its own internal conflict, the ripple effects are enormous. Sponsors grow cautious. Networks start asking hard questions. and cast members begin quietly reconsidering their contracts. Those close to the production suggest that the disagreement wasn't just personal, it was about boundaries, creative control, and the direction of the narrative itself. Reality television thrives on tension, but there's a fine line between compelling drama and combustible instability. Once that line is crossed, trust erodes quickly. And trust is the invisible glue that holds long-running franchises together. Without it, every scene feels forced. Every reunion feels hollow. Every storyline starts to look like damage control instead of entertainment. Fans have already begun speculating about what this means for the future. Social media timelines exploded within minutes of reports surfacing. Some viewers believe this could mark the end of an era, while others argue that controversy is exactly what keeps reality TV alive. But even the most loyal supporters can sense that something shifted behind the scenes. The usual post-filming promotional buzz hasn't materialized. Cast members who normally tease upcoming episodes have remained noticeably quiet, and the production silence feels intentional. If episodes are delayed, or worse, cancelled, the financial implications alone could be staggering. Entire production schedules revolve around tight timelines. Editors, camera crews, stylists, and marketing teams all depend on a steady rollout. A shutdown disrupts that entire ecosystem. And in an industry already navigating streaming competition and shifting audience attention spans, stability is everything. There's also the reputational factor. When headlines move from explosive episode to production halted, it reframes the narrative. Instead of viewers anticipating drama on screen, they begin dissecting dysfunction off screen. That distinction matters, because once audiences start focusing on the cracks behind the curtain, the illusion of controlled chaos disappears. And yet, some insiders insist this isn't necessarily the end. They argue that reality TV has survived far worse, lawsuits, cast firings, public scandals, and still bounced back stronger. They believe negotiations may already be underway, conversations happening quietly in boardrooms far from the cameras. Temporary shutdowns can become strategic resets. Sometimes stepping back is the only way to move forward. But here's the part that can't be ignored. Relationships fractured in high-pressure public settings don't heal overnight. If creative disagreements turned personal, rebuilding that professional trust could take more than a quick meeting and a handshake. It would require transparency, compromise, and a shared vision for what comes next. Without that alignment, even a resumed production could feel strained. And let's be honest, viewers can sense authenticity. They can tell when tension is real and when reconciliation is performative. If the show returns, audiences will be watching more closely than ever, not just for the storyline drama but for subtle signs of unresolved conflict. Every glance, every pause, every edited cut will be scrutinized. So is it truly over? Right now, that answer remains uncertain. What is clear is that this moment has forced a reckoning. For the cast, for the production team, for the network, and perhaps even for the genre itself. Reality television has always walked a tightrope between spectacle and stability. This incident may have exposed just how fragile that balance really is. In the end, whether cameras roll again or the stage lights dim permanently, this on-set clash has already cemented its place in the franchise's history. It served as a reminder that behind every dramatic scene lies a complex web of contracts, creative decisions, egos, and expectations. When those elements collide, the fallout doesn't stay contained within a single episode. It spills outward, into headlines, into fan debates, into industry conversations about sustainability and ethics in entertainment. For now, the set remains quiet. Scripts, if there were any, are untouched. Microphones sit idle, and everyone is waiting to see if negotiations mend what was broken, waiting to see if production schedules resume, waiting to see if the network issues a definitive statement. Until then, one thing is certain, this wasn't just another dramatic night of filming. It was a turning point, and whether it marks the final chapter or the beginning of a dramatic reinvention, the impact will be felt long after the cameras decide whether to roll again. If you've made it this far, then you already know this isn't just another piece of reality TV gossip, this feels like a turning point. And now the real question isn't just what happened, it's what happens next, because moments like this don't just shake up a cast, they shake up an entire franchise. So let me ask you something directly, do you think this is really the end? Or is this just the beginning of an even bigger storm? Drop your honest opinion in the comments right now. Don't just say, yes, or no, I want to know why. Do you think the show can survive without a major reset? Do you believe this was blown out of proportion? Or do you think the behind-the-scenes tension has been building for years and finally exploded? This is one of those moments where the fans' voices actually matter, because networks watch engagement. They see what trends, they see what sparks debate. And right now, all eyes are on this situation. If you believe the show deserves another season, say it loud. If you think it's time to wrap it up for good, explain why. If you suspect there's more to the story than we're being told, break down your theory. And let's be real, we've seen dramatic walk-offs before. We've seen cast feuds spiral out of control. We've watched friendships implode and alliances shatter. But a production shutdown? That's different. That hits at the foundation. That changes the conversation from Who's fighting? Can this continue? That's why your take matters. Also, if you're not already subscribed, this is the moment to do it. Because if updates drop, if statements are released, if filming resumes or gets officially cancelled, you already know we're breaking it down in detail. No fluff, no recycled headlines. We're digging into timelines, contracts, cast reactions, and what this means for the future of the entire franchise. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what could be the biggest update yet. And here's something else to think about. Situations like this often lead to massive shifts. Cast reshuffles, executive shakeups, unexpected exits, surprise returns. If this really is the end of one chapter, it could open the door for a completely different era. The question is, would you even want that? Would you watch a reboot? Would you follow the same cast on a new network? Or do you think the magic is already gone? Be honest, because sometimes the most dramatic moment isn't what happens on camera, it's what happens after the cameras stop rolling. If you've been watching from the early seasons, you've seen how much has changed. Relationships, reputations, alliances, nothing stays the same forever. But there's always been one constant: the show keeps going. Until now, that's why this feels different. There's an uncertainty in the air that we haven't seen before. And uncertainty? That's powerful. It makes people talk. It makes insiders leak information. It makes networks move carefully. It makes cast members reconsider their next move. And it definitely makes fans choose sides. So which side are you on? Are you defending the production team? Are you backing the cast member at the center of the storm? Or are you stepping back and saying the entire system needs a reset? Let's have that conversation, but keep it respectful. Heated debates are fine, personal attacks aren't. We can disagree without crossing lines. In fact, the smartest discussions usually come from opposing viewpoints. So if you see someone with a different opinion, respond thoughtfully. Challenge ideas, not people. And while you're at it, share this with someone who watches the show. Because the more perspectives we bring into this, the clearer the bigger picture becomes. One thing's for sure, silence won't solve it. Engagement drives outcomes. If the network sees massive interest, that influences decisions. If they see fans walking away, that sends a message too. So don't underestimate how powerful your voice actually is. Now here's something I want you to think about carefully. If production really did shut down because of an on-set confrontation, that means the tension reached a point where continuing wasn't possible in that moment. That's not minor. That's not routine. That's serious. And serious situations usually leave lasting impact. So what would it take for things to truly recover? A public apology? A behind-closed-doors settlement? A complete cast overhaul? Or time away from the spotlight? Write down what you think would fix this, or if you think it's beyond fixing. Because sometimes endings disguise themselves as pauses. And sometimes pauses turn into permanent conclusions. And let's not ignore the business side. Reality television isn't just entertainment, it's contracts, sponsors, advertising dollars, brand partnerships, and long-term investments. When conflict spills beyond storyline into production itself, executives start calculating risk. That's when decisions get real. So do you think this was a temporary flare-up? Or the breaking point? I'm genuinely curious where the majority stands. Also, if you want deeper breakdowns, behind-the-scenes analysis, and industry insight into how production shutdowns actually work, let me know. Because there's a lot that goes on behind those cameras that viewers rarely see. And understanding that changes how you interpret everything. We're entering a wait-and-see phase right now. And that's when rumors multiply. So stay sharp. Not everything you read will be accurate. Not every source is reliable. That's why we'll keep separating confirmed information from speculation. But in the meantime, the conversation belongs to you. Sound off below. Do you think this is the final chapter? Or are we about to witness the most dramatic comeback yet? And if you enjoyed this breakdown, or even if you completely disagreed but appreciated the discussion, make sure you like the video. It helps more than you think. Engagement pushes this conversation to more fans who care just as much as you do. Subscribe, comment, share, turn on notifications. Because if this really is the end, you'll want to be here when it's confirmed. And if it's not, you'll definitely want to be here when the next twist drops. Either way, this story isn't finished yet. Now it's your move.
I'm the type of girl. Yep, I'm the type of girl. I'm the type of girl. Yep, I'm the type of girl. I'm the type of girl. Yep, take money, money, take money, money, money. I'm the type of girl. I'm the type of girl. Yep, I'm the type of girl. I'm the type of girl. Yep, I'm the type of girl. I'm the type of girl. Yep, make money, money, make money, money, money. Was she the
my affirmations of a real beat. You on your seat, you on your seat. You the one, ain't nobody fucking with the fuck.